Hello. So, I am a big fan of anti-consumerism or conscious consumer type content, and so I have lately, as I'm sure many of you have, been super into all of the new e-reader releases, and so I have been exercising my conscious consumer muscles. I thought it would be interesting to go over the conversations I've been having in my head, partially just because I want to talk about it, and maybe this will be helpful for anyone else who is kind of weighing options or deciding whether or not to purchase things. This is definitely not saying that there's no context in which purchasing a new e-reader would make sense. Absolutely not. Yeah, just kind of thinking things through. So, for context, I have made at least one video in the past where I talked about my e-readers, and at the time I had an older iPad mini, a Onyx boox device, which is one of the Android based e-readers, and a Kobo Clara 2E. All of those are now outdated. The iPad was outdated when I bought it used. The Onyx boox that I had, which was the Leaf 2, has been replaced by the Page, I think. And this one is now the Clara black and white. So I did move earlier this year, and I had kind of a rethinking of all of my devices because it didn't make sense to move with 5-6 devices, counting my laptop and my phone and everything. So I went and wiped all of my old phones that I had that I don't know if anybody else does this, but anytime a phone dies, I would just throw it in a drawer. And I traded in some older devices to get a new, at the time, iPad mini. So this is the 6 now. Again, there's already a new one out. So there's already a 7, but this is fantastic. This is amazing. This is the best device I've ever had. If you want to see my sticker collection, I'm about to get more stickers in the mail for my other devices, but this is the iPad collection. I did sell my Onyx boox device because it had kept resale value really well. I was able to sell it for exactly what I paid for it, just free and clear. Just made sense to do. There's nothing against that device whatsoever. On the contrary, I really enjoyed having that device. But when I thought about which device I was reaching for the most and which had the most utility and made the sense to keep with that resale possibility, it was just the Kobo made sense to keep. So I ended up with these two, and then my laptop and my phone, obviously. And that was a really good, comfortable, obviously this is totally excessive compared to actual necessity, but it made a lot of sense for my lifestyle and what I actually use to move with. I was extremely tempted by the Kobo Libra color, and I still am, to be honest. I do think that at some point in my life, that will be a device that I have, whatever the current version of it is at the time, because I'm sure it will get upgrades and everything. So, digging into that device, which definitely is the one that I'm most tempted by, it does have what people call the screen door effect, which is the overlay that they put on the screen in order to be able to do the color pixels. Does have a gray pattern like a screen door. It makes the screen a little bit darker naturally, and you have to use the front lights on it a little bit more than you would if you didn't have that. It doesn't seem like something that would bother me a lot, but it would be, a noticeable adjustment going from just a plain screen. So when it came out, a lot of people talked about that and said that they were going to wait for Kindle because Kindle would, fix that problem or whatever. Kindle is having their own problems with their color reader, But it does seem like they did do some things to improve that a little bit. They are using the exact same technology, which is what, everyone was telling people at the time when they were saying that Kindle wasn't going to have that issue. People were like, well, this is currently the only technology that exists for color e-ink, so Kindle probably is going to have this issue. But it seems like they did a bunch of stuff with software and also lighting to try to minimize the issue. And I will say, side-by-side comparisons of the screens, the Kindle colorsoft does seem to have more vibrant color. So it does seem like something that the technology, even with the existing screens, can potentially be improved on, which is great. And obviously, hopefully, at some point the screens themselves will be able to be improved. But I love the idea of annotating on the page. Like, absolutely love that, especially for books that I'm reading in other languages, but even for English. Like, I've always been a tab user, and then in my ebooks I do highlight and sometimes write notes, but I've never been like a write on the page person. I give away, sell, loan out, whatever books all the time. Like, I've always had a really cycling book collection that's gonna make someone else's experience of having the book probably not as good. I know some people like to find annotations in books, but like the majority of people don't. This is making it sound like I have a problem with people who do this. I do not. You absolutely can do absolutely whatever you want with your books, and I support you 100%. But for me, I never felt the desire to do it, partially because it does make a reusable product less reusable. And if I myself reread it, I don't know that I want to be influenced by my past thoughts. But an e-reader, like annotating on an ebook, would give you that option to write down all of those thoughts in a non-permanent way. I love the concept. So what I have done instead, 2 options. And for this, I'm using my iPad, which obviously does not have the same delicious e-ink screen. So that's definitely a downside. But most books I'm not going to want to annotate anyway, so it's relatively minimal reading on a traditional screen. So 2 options. The first one that I didn't come up with this, but the first one that I landed on was converting the book into a PDF, which, I don't know if that's controversial, but if I've purchased a book, I have zero qualms about using software on it to convert it to a PDF. And using the app GoodNotes, which I had purchased a long time ago. Now it's a subscription service, but I had purchased it a long time ago when it was a one-time purchase. There are tons of other PDF annotating software or PDF annotating apps that you can get that you can use for this. But that just, is going to allow you to obviously do any kind of annotating that you want to do. You can also, from using this, copy and paste images onto it. You do little stickers, so that's option 1, is just use a PDF app. And then an option that I just discovered the other day that I've actually found from a YouTube comment section, which is amazing, is that the Kobo app on your iPad allows you to use the markup tools that are built into Apple products on the page. You can use any of the markup tools, so I'll show you. So that built-in toolbar that you're familiar with from photos and stuff, including using a ruler, I used the ruler to get that line straight. Very, very cool. I wondered how it would handle if you change anything. Obviously, if you make the font bigger, that's going to completely change the page layout. And what it does is, so make this bigger. So it gives you that little scribble on the side to tell you that there were annotations. And as soon as you get back to how you were before, whether that was a margin size or a font size, they just come right back. So that is very cool. I'm not sure which I will end up using more. The GoodNotes workaround or the Kobo built-in not workaround, but Kobo built-in option. But for me, since I'm primarily just wanting to mark up books that I'm reading for language learning, that works just fine for me at this point. But again, I do think probably eventually a device I can write on may be something that I really want, but for now, I'm satisfied with this. Then other things that are, obviously look super cute and enticing are the boox Palma device, the really small kind of phone-like e-reader, and then there are also other small devices out similar to that. I do actually love the look of the Kindle Basic matcha. That's like my favorite color, so I love the color of that device and it looks so cute. But this one is almost exactly that same size. It's a little bit bulkier. Mostly the bulk of this one is the case, and I do take the case off to read sometimes, but I am always throwing this in my bag, so there's no way I'm using a case without a cover. Being that as it is that I'm always throwing this in my bag, this is clearly already plenty portable for me. Like, I don't think that having a pocket device is necessarily going to be better. Like, I can see the argument that yes, you can just take it out when you're in line or whatever, whereas this, if it's in your bag, maybe you won't think about it. Maybe, but I don't see spending, $300 on it just for that reason. And now there's a Palma 2 coming out, which I think, again, is good because the other one was kind of outdated, the Android system. But that means that everyone who has bought one recently already has like an outdated device that who knows how long like Android will keep supporting that. So it's just this like cycle of like putting out things and then dropping them for the newest, latest, greatest thing. Like, I just don't want to get something that then is going to become obsolete like rapidly. Like, this is hopefully, cross my fingers, going to keep going for like another decade or something. And when this one kicks it, I'll look into other, super portable devices. But for now, this one is amazing. And as far as losing the like books, the Android ecosystem, it is kind of sad because there are things that I could read on there that now I will have to read on, an LCD screen or whatever if I do want to read them, or it's called like an OED screen or something like that. I don't know. But again, since I do the majority of my reading either with books from Kobo or from the library, or that I bought other places and sideloaded, it's not the end of the world. The only books that I really have to read on here are from Storytel or like webtoons, that kind of thing, which isn't ideal, and I probably do end up reading those less because of that. Like, there are a lot of ebooks on Storytel that I never remembered to even read because I'd have to go on my iPad to find them, and I don't even think about using my iPad for that reason. So in that way, I may do like a focused reading vlog or something like that, where I like try to read from those apps just to make sure that I'm taking advantage of the books that are available on there. But ultimately, I have so many books available to me at literally all times that it just is like not an issue of needing more to read, Also, I think it's always like a good idea to make sure that you're taking full advantage of features. So like, really only in the past couple months have I taken full advantage of the pocket function on my Kobo. So this is something that I'd never even heard of until I got a Kobo, but it is like an article gathering app or website that I think is owned by Mozilla, like Mozilla Firefox. And basically any like website or article you can send to Pocket, and then either on your app on your devices, or you can log into it from your Kobo. It's like a partnership that they have, like a linked thing similar to the link that they have with Overdrive. where it will, save it to your device. So like things that I use this for are especially podcast transcripts. I use it for podcast transcripts the most. Love it. It's perfect for me. But other things, like anything else that you're reading from a website, there's a lot of things that I do want to try to see if this works on, but so far everything that I've tried it for, it has worked, like just regular websites. I'm not sure how it works with websites that you have to log into, if you have like a subscription or something. Not sure how it works with that, but I do want to try it. That's another thing that had I not explored the options on here, I might have thought that I could only do that on books, but as it turns out, there is a way to do it. So I think for both of these, like a good way to kind of curb that desire for a new thing is to check out all the features of the things that you do already have. That's, me talking to myself, because obviously I have no idea if that's the case for you. This is coming from someone who's already in a position to already have amazing devices and not actually need any upgrades or anything. So if that's your case as well, this may be relevant, but it may not be relevant to everyone. So I think those are the things that I've been most tempted by, and kind of the conversations and testing out that I've had with myself about why I do not need those things right now. And I think I'm good for now. Like I'm feeling very satisfied. I don't know, it's been like rewarding, because as I definitely have in the past and up until fairly recently, to varying extents, have had really bad like impulse. Not that I always followed through on the impulse, buying, shopping, but I would feel it so strongly. Like I would want things so badly, and I absolutely still do, don't get me wrong, but it has been really rewarding to be able to watch reviews of things, watch people unbox and use things, and be like, oh, that is really nice, but not necessarily always feel that strong of a pull. And when I do, to be able to sit with it for a while until it isn't so urgent anymore, and kind of have those reasonable conversations rather than just a constant like yearning for something. I do love to watch all the e-reader content though. Like I just love e-readers. I think they're such cool technology, and so I do greatly enjoy watching all of the comparisons and people using them and reviewing them. It's just so oddly entertaining to me. If you have thoughts to share, definitely leave them in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.